Okay, so get this. We're diving deep today into something pretty revolutionary. I think you'd agree, right? The world of programmable biology. We're talking about using AI to not just analyze life, but to actually engineer it.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? It really
Yeah.
is we're going from just observing nature to potentially writing the code of life itself.
Yeah, and leading the charge, we've got this company, Evolutionary Scale, founded by the same team that developed one of the very first protein language models over at Meta. I mean, these guys have some serious scientific street cred, and not to mention a cool $142 million in funding to help them achieve their pretty ambitious vision.
Their goal, you see, is to make a biology programmable using AI, and their tool of choice for this is ESM3. You can think of it sort of like ChatGPT, but instead of text, it designs proteins with very specific functions.
So it's like ChatGPT, but for proteins, basically. And we're not talking about some small-scale experiment here, right? They trained ESM3 on a massive data set of 2.78 billion proteins.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so interesting. Most AI models that focus on proteins only look at the sequence, like the order of amino acids. But ESM3 goes a step further. You see, it considers the protein's 3D structure and its function.
So it's not just about the order of the building blocks, it's about how they fold and fit together to actually do something.
Exactly. Imagine like a long chain of amino acids. It can fold into an almost infinite number of shapes. Just like a single sheet of paper can be folded into countless origami creations.
And just like the shape of the origami determines its purpose, whether it's a crane or a box, the 3D structure of a protein dictates its function in the body.
Oh, okay. I see. That's a good analogy. So how does ESM3 actually use all this information to, program biology?
Well, by being trained on such a vast data set, ESM3 essentially learns the language of proteins. It starts to understand how the sequence, the 3D structure, and the function all relate to each other.
So it's almost like ESM3 is learning to speak the language of life. In a way, yes. And this allows it to do something pretty remarkable. Simulate evolution at warp speed. It can rapidly explore this huge universe of possible protein designs, variations that might take nature millions, even billions of years to stumble upon.
Wow, so we're talking about potentially fast-forwarding evolution. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what's the proof that this actually works? Can you give us a concrete example?
Absolutely. In a groundbreaking experiment, researchers used ESM3 to create a completely new type of green fluorescent protein, or GFP. The stuff that makes jellyfish glow.
Yeah, I remember seeing those glowing jellyfish pictures in science class. So they basically told ESM3 to make a glowing protein.
Not exactly. They provided ESM3 with the core structure of a naturally occurring GFP, and then using something called chain of thought prompting, guided the AI to explore variations of this structure.
Chain of thought prompting. What does that mean?
It's like giving the AI a series of logical steps to follow, similar to how we humans solve problems step by step. So instead of just randomly generating proteins, ESM3 was kind of nudged towards creating variations with specific properties.
Okay, so it's like giving the AI a roadmap to follow instead of letting it wander around aimlessly.
Exactly, and the results were astonishing. Out of hundreds of generated proteins, several actually exhibited fluorescence, including one that was as bright as naturally occurring GFPs.
Wait, so this new GFP, it doesn't exist in nature?
Right, that's the truly remarkable part. This particular GFP has a unique structure that is incredibly unlikely to have ever evolved naturally. Scientists estimate it would have taken nature roughly 500 million years to come up with this specific design.
500 million years. That's mind-blowing. So ESM3 essentially achieved in a matter of days or weeks what might have taken nature eons.
That's the power of programmable biology. We're not just studying life anymore, we're starting to create it.
Okay, so we've got this AI that can design proteins, even ones that don't exist in nature. But why should we care? What does this actually mean for you and me?
This is where things get really exciting. The ability to program biology has huge implications across a whole spectrum of fields, from healthcare to material science to even climate change.
Okay, let's start with something close to home. Healthcare. I think everyone is interested in living longer, healthier lives.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where medicine is truly personalized, tailored to your unique DNA. We're talking about highly targeted drugs with fewer side effects treatments designed to address the root cause of your specific ailment.
Okay, I'm listening. What else?
Take personalized supplementation, for example. Variations in your genes like the MTHFR gene can influence how your body processes certain vitamins. With programmable biology, we could create supplements tailored to your specific genetic makeup, optimizing your nutrient intake for maximum health benefits.
So no more one-size-fits-all approach to medicine.
Exactly. It's about moving from treating disease to actually preventing it by understanding and addressing the underlying biological mechanisms at play.
This is starting to sound like science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But the reality is that this future is closer than we think, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what programmable biology can do.
Okay, I can't wait to hear more. Okay, so before we went to, I guess what you would call a break, right? We were talking about the potential of programmable biology to totally revolutionize medicine and create these like hyper-personalized treatments.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about, the possibility of targeting the root causes of diseases and optimizing your health, like at a molecular level.
It's pretty exciting prospect, no doubt about it. But before we get lost in the world of designer drugs and, gene-tailored vitamins, I'm curious about some of the other applications of programmable biology. We touched on material science a bit before.
Right? Material science is another area where programmable biology has the potential to be absolutely transformative. Think about the materials we rely on every day. Plastics, metals, fabrics. What if we could engineer biomaterials with properties that are not only, high-performing, but also sustainable and biodegradable?
So like a plastic water bottle that just decomposes back into the earth after you're done with it. No more landfills overflowing with plastic.
Exactly. Imagine packaging that just disappears after use, leaving no trace behind. And it's not just about, reducing waste. We could design biomaterials inspired by nature's own ingenuity.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Think about spider silk.
Yeah.
It's incredibly strong and lightweight, even tougher than steel in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
With programmable biology, we could potentially create new materials with similar properties, leading to innovations in everything from construction to aerospace.
Wow, so skyscrapers made of super strong bioengineered spider silk. That sounds both futuristic and oddly elegant.
And we could go even further. What if we could design materials that are self-healing, just like living organisms? Imagine a scratch on your car disappearing overnight as the material repairs itself at a molecular level.
Okay, now that's getting into some serious sci-fi territory. I mean, self-healing materials. How realistic is that?
It's still early days, of course, but the potential is there. We already see examples of self-healing in nature. Our own bodies are incredibly good at repairing themselves. So why not harness those same principles to create self-repairing materials?
That's a really cool thought. So we've talked about healthcare, we've talked about material science. Any other mind-blowing applications we should be aware of?
Well, there's one that looms large on everyone's mind these days: climate change. Programmable biology could be a really powerful tool in our fight against this, global crisis.
I was hoping you'd say that. Climate change is such a complex issue. It feels like we're constantly playing catch up.
It's true. But programmable biology offers some exciting new possibilities. One really promising approach is designing proteins that act like molecular sponges, capturing carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere with incredible efficiency.
So instead of just trying to, reduce our emissions, we could actually pull carbon out of the air and potentially reverse some of the damage we've already done.
Exactly. We could essentially engineer nature to help heal itself. And then there's the problem of plastic pollution. What if we could engineer enzymes that break down plastic waste quickly and efficiently?
That would be a game changer. We're literally drowning in plastic, and current recycling methods just aren't keeping up.
Right. And many plastics take hundreds of years to decompose if they decompose at all. With programmable biology, we could potentially design enzymes that target specific types of plastic, breaking them down into harmless byproducts.
So programmable biology offers this incredibly optimistic vision of the future. We're talking about curing diseases, creating these incredible new materials, even tackling climate change. It all sounds pretty utopian, but I have to wonder, are there any potential downsides to this technology that we should be considering?
You're absolutely right to raise that point. Like any powerful technology, programmable biology has the potential for unintended consequences.
So what are some of the things we need to be cautious about as we kind of venture into this new frontier?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is unintended consequences. Biological systems are incredibly complex and interconnected. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to predict every possible outcome of our interventions.
So it's like a domino effect. We tweak one thing over here, and it sets off a chain reaction over there.
Exactly. We need to be incredibly careful that our, well-intentioned solutions don't create new problems down the road. And we need to think about the potential impact on biodiversity. If we become too reliant on engineered organisms, we risk losing the incredible natural diversity of life that makes our planet so unique and resilient.
That's a really good point. It's like putting all our eggs in one basket, right? what if something goes wrong with those engineered organisms? Could it have like a catastrophic ripple effect on the ecosystem?
It's a possibility we need to consider very carefully, you know? The balance of nature is delicate. While programmable biology offers these exciting possibilities, we can't afford to lose sight of the importance of preserving the natural world.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's a good reminder that even with the best intentions, we need to proceed with caution and humility. This is powerful stuff we're talking about, messing with the very building blocks of life.
You're absolutely right. It's a profound responsibility. We need to ensure that this technology is used wisely and ethically, with careful consideration for both its potential benefits and its potential risks.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The promise of personalized medicine, the possibilities of bio-inspired materials, the potential to combat climate change, and the need for caution and ethical considerations.
It's a fascinating and complex landscape, and we've only just begun to explore it.
Before we wrap up this whole deep dive, I think it's important to touch on something we haven't explicitly addressed yet: the accessibility of this technology. Who gets to benefit from this revolution in programmable biology?
That's a crucial question, and it's one that Evolutionary Scale is taking very seriously.
Okay, tell me more.
They're deeply committed to making this technology accessible to as many people as possible. They've released open source versions of ESM3 and are partnering with tech giants like AWS and NVIDIA to make it widely available to researchers, companies, and even individuals.
That's huge. This open science approach, it means that more people can get their hands on this powerful tool, which could lead to even more rapid innovation and progress.
Exactly. By democratizing access to this technology, we can increase transparency, accelerate scientific discovery, and potentially mitigate the risks associated with closed-door development.
So it sounds like they're really trying to make sure this technology benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
That's the goal, and it's an incredibly important one. As we move forward with programmable biology, we need to ensure that it serves the common good and that its benefits are shared equitably.
All right, so we're back, and we've been on this deep dive exploring this fascinating and complex world of programmable biology, right? And it's a field that is just poised to change everything from medicine to the environment.
Yeah, it really is an area of science that's moving at this breakneck speed. And with tools like ESM3 becoming more and more sophisticated and accessible, I think it's safe to say we can expect to see a surge of innovation in the years to come.
It feels like we're on the edge of something big, truly transformative. But before we get too carried away in all the excitement, I think it's important to step back for a second and consider, the broader societal implications of this kind of tech.
You're absolutely right. With any powerful technology, there's always that risk of unintended consequences, and programmable biology is no different. We need to be really mindful of the potential downsides and work to mitigate them.
So let's play devil's advocate for a minute. What are some of the potential pitfalls we should be watching out for?
Well, one concern is, the potential for widening these socioeconomic disparities, right? If access to these life-changing technologies is limited to the wealthy, we risk making existing inequalities even worse and creating a world where only a privileged few can afford to, enhance themselves or access cutting-edge treatments.
Yeah. It's a valid concern, for sure. I mean, we've seen this happen with other technologies where the benefits aren't distributed evenly, so we need to make sure that programmable biology doesn't become just another tool for deepening the divide between the haves and the have-nots.
Absolutely. Equity and accessibility need to be at the forefront of our thinking as this technology evolves. Another potential pitfall is the erosion of biodiversity. If we become too reliant on engineered organisms, we risk losing the incredible diversity of life that makes our planet so unique and resilient.
It's like putting all our eggs in one basket, right? If we focus only on engineering solutions, we might accidentally create a monoculture, leaving ourselves vulnerable to unforeseen challenges or threats.
Exactly. We need to find a balance, you see, between harnessing the power of programmable biology and preserving the natural world. Nature has been perfecting its designs for billions of years. There's immense wisdom encoded in that diversity.
It makes you realize that we need to proceed with this sense of humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
Exactly. We need to approach programmable biology with this deep respect for the complexity of life and a willingness to learn from nature's own ingenuity.
It seems like one of the biggest challenges with any new technology is figuring out how to govern it, right?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that programmable biology is used responsibly and ethically?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's going to require a collaborative effort between scientists, policymakers, ethicists, and the public. We need to have these like open and transparent dialogues, engage in, robust debate, and establish some clear guidelines and regulations.
It sounds like a pretty daunting task, but it's super important that we get this right.
It is daunting, but I'm optimistic that we can find a way forward that balances innovation with responsibility. I mean, we've faced similar challenges with other powerful technologies in the past, and we've learned some valuable lessons along the way.
So where do we go from here? What can we as individuals do to ensure that programmable biology is used for good?
Well, first and foremost, we need to stay informed. Learn about the science, engage in the conversation, and voice your concerns. The future of programmable biology isn't something that's going to be decided in a vacuum. It's going to be shaped by the choices that we make collectively.
So it's a reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future we want to see.
Exactly. This isn't just about scientific progress. It's about our values, our ethics, and our vision for the future of humanity. It's a conversation we need to have together.
As we wrap up this whole deep dive, I'm left with this sense of both awe and anticipation. Programmable biology has the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges, but it also brings up these really profound questions about who we are and what kind of future we want to create.
It's a powerful reminder that knowledge is a double-edged sword. It's up to us to use it wisely with humility and foresight.
And always, the most important question is, what does all this mean for you, right? How do you feel about this whole idea of programmable biology? What hopes and concerns does it bring up for you? I really encourage you to think about these questions, share your thoughts with others, and, engage in this conversation that's happening about the future we're building together.
This is just the start, the beginning of this incredible journey of discovery and innovation. And I, for one, am so excited to see what the future holds.